but something needs to happen in your life. Today, we're going to talk about changing your attitude. Changing your attitude to life. It is said that your attitude determines your altitude, how high you can attain. The willingness to act now without delay. But your attitude is driven by what you know. Your attitude is driven by your philosophy of life, your response to life, how you deal with life, the belief system that's behind you. That's what drives you. It is said that the truth that you know shall set you free. Most truths set you free, but if you don't understand the truth, and if you don't absorb the truth in you, it cannot set you free. And I know you want to be free. I know you want to be free to think, free to do the things that you want to do. You don't want to be bound by a 9-to-5 job. You don't want to be bound by the things that constrain us. You want to be free. You want to live free. And you want to do the things that's dearest to your heart. A story came across my table some time ago, and I was amazed by this story. There's a gentleman by the name of Levi Bruce. He was a chef that for 20 years has been going to Nottingham Carnival, selling his recipes, playing his music. Change your attitude.
Man, that takes me back to our musical days. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, good morning. Welcome to the Message Talk Show again with host Alex Gordon. We're just tuning in. We're just warming up to start the show now. So, hey, bear with me for a bit.
So guys, tune into the show. Don't miss it, because it's going to be an amazing show. You are going to be touched. You're going to be amazed. You're going to be excited. It's Thursday, 11 o'clock on a Thursday. The Message Talk Show with Alex Gordon. Yes, don't miss it. So guys, tune into the show. Don't miss it, because it's going to be an amazing show. You are going to be touched. You're going to be amazed. You're going to be excited. It's Thursday, 11 o'clock on a Thursday. The Message Talk Show with Alex Gordon. Yes, don't miss it.
Good morning, folks. Good morning. This is your host, Alex Gordon. You're at the Message Talk Show. It's Thursday again, Thursday, 11 o'clock. So, hey, guys, get a cup of water. Call your friends. Call your worst enemies. Give them a call, man. Give them a call. I don't care who they are. Give them a call this morning, because you know what? You got to tune into this show, because we have a very special guest on this show today. We're talking about preventing stress. Tell me this. Has there ever been a moment in your life when you feel like things slipping away from you? Things are not going to plan. You can't handle it, you can't deal with it, and you don't quite understand what's happening. Today, we have someone on the show who's going to talk about stress and burnout, because if anything, the last 12 months has been stressful. Man, it has been stressful. And some of the situations up and down this country has been very stressful. The effect on mental health, I don't know how we're going to get through this. I don't know how we're going to come through this, because people are in desperate situations. But you know what, guys? We've got to make it. We've got to pull through, and we've got to be on our best self. But we have to work with people like Lilian Lartey. Good morning, Lilian. How you doing?
Good morning, Alex. I am very well, thank you. How are you?
You're very well. That's great. That's great. I'm just double checking my mics just to make sure I can hear you. You know, I have to get it clear this morning so I can hear every word that you're about to say. I remember when we did the pre-interview, man. I'm thinking, wow, man, this lady has a lot to say, man. You know, she has a lot to say. She even checked out the show. She checked out the show, and she was able to tell me what I didn't cover from what I have covered to date, and therefore it will be welcome to include this in your show. Hey, this is the lady, Lilian Lartey. Lilian Lartey. So, hey, it's great to have you on the show today. It's great to see you, to hear from you. And how are you today? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm enjoying the heat. I'm enjoying the weather. But yeah, I'm excited to be
Hey,
able to
I said,
share.
don't mention heat. Hot is good. Hot is good.
It is good. I agree. It is. But you know what it's like here in the UK? We get these heat waves that just come at
I
us
know.
like out
I
of
know.
nowhere.
But if you imagine the best part of time we're freezing cold, huh? We're in the
Exactly.
freezing cold. So, hey, when the heat comes and it's not costing me any money to travel to Jamaica or to travel to Spain to get the heat, and I'm getting it in my house free of cost, and therefore I am not paying any heating bill either.
Yes, that's
So
true.
I decided I am not going to complain. This is it. I enjoy the heat. So even though I may be sweating, I enjoy the heat. So hey, well, it's good to have the heat with us today, isn't it? Yes.
Yes, it is. It is.
That's
This is
awesome.
my type of weather anyway. Yeah.
It is your type of weather.
Heat over cold anytime.
Give you cold anytime.
Heat over cold.
Oh, heat over cold. Yes, folks.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys at home like heat over cold too. So therefore, get yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and tune into the Message Talk Show and warm up your system, because today we're going to be talking about how to prevent stress and burnout without feeling guilty. And I must acknowledge, for the past 12 months, the people who've passed away in our world, who've died through the pandemic, people who have passed for whatever reason. And, you know, the condolences to families across the country, across the world. It's been a difficult time. It's been a difficult season. But you know what? We will survive. And when I look at the floods this week across the world, again, I see Japan, I see Belgium, I see Germany, and I see the flatness. And even in, I think, London in the UK, we had some floods as well last week.
Yeah.
You know, the water just come up. We can't control the rainfall. No, man, I was thinking, I wonder if they've got some sort of, you know, because Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson fly to the upper heavens, you know, then fly to the upper heavens. So I thought, oh, I wonder if they had some sort of thing they could just plug it into the clouds, you know, plug it into the clouds and it just control the rain coming down. Because we seem to think we can do everything, innit? We seem to think we can do everything. Yes.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, there isn't such a commodity. There isn't such a device to control the rain, and therefore we are really getting it with the changing climate, the changing climate conditions. We have to find a way to get through this. We have to find a way. So if it therefore means that, you know, what they talk about carbon footprints, all these kind of different things. Well,
Yeah.
I don't quite own a jet yet. Yes, I don't own a jet yet. So my carbon footprint is very small. Yeah. One day I will own a jet. And when I own the jet, I would say, I'm not flying today because my carbon footprint, you know, I'm not flying today. But today, we're talking about stress and burnout with Lilian Lartey, plugging into the show. So Lilian.
Yes, Alex.
Lilian. Who are you, Lilian? Who do you serve? And what got you here, Lilian?
Woo! Okay, so I'm Lilian Lartey, and I am a wellness coach, wellness expert, and I help busy professionals and business owners to dramatically reduce stress and prevent burnout so that they can feel calm and balanced in work and life. So those are the people that I serve. And what got me here? Wow. Well, anyway, the brief version is 20 years of being in the health wellness industry has got me to this point. Life experiences of stress and burnout got me to this point, as well as my passion for calm, for stillness, for all things to do with health and well-being is what got me to this point.
Wow, so you're gonna sue me because I've been advertising as the well-being consultant, and you said wellness coach. I'm sorry. I am sorry for misrepresenting you.
Don't worry,
as a
Alex.
well-being consultant.
When I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, that's another title I'll add. Okay.
That's another title.
People
No,
give you different
I rebranded
titles. So.
I rebranded you myself.
Don't worry, I take it.
You said you like stillness and calmness.
Yes.
You know, there's something still and calm about you, and you like to be in that kind of zone. Has that always been the case in all your life?
Hasn't. No way. No way. No. My life has always been one of busyness, franticness, stress, hurriedness, living a fast-paced life. And it was a case of what's rest? Don't know that. Stillness? What? Forget that. That's not for me. So yeah.
So that means business and fast-paced life is the norm in the UK, in most of the world.
Totally. Definitely.
So how did you get to the point of talking about looking at stress and burnout then? If you were so busy making things happen, driving, accelerating your career, doing things, climbing the social ladder, climbing the corporate ladder. Tell me what happened.
So basically my body told me, said enough is enough.
What do you mean your body told you? Is there a certain language that your body talks? What do you mean your body told you?
Our bodies do talk. But the thing is, when we're in the busyness and when we're in the day-to-day striving of, like you said, you know, achieving your goals, achieving your deadlines, your aspirations, climbing that ladder, gaining for the next promotion, we ignore the signs that are going on in our bodies. We ignore when we're feeling low in energy. We ignore the tiredness. We ignore symptoms of colds and flus and pains and all types of symptoms. And we just say, oh, I haven't got time for that, because we're too much living in our head. A majority of people live in their head.
Here and there, a bit of pain in the elbow, in the knee, a bit of cold and flu. That's normal.
Alex, it's common, but it's not normal, and it's not healthy for us as human beings.
Wow. It's common, but it's not normal for us as human beings. So when you said our body talks to us, because there's a lot of people who are busy, who are making things happen, who feel things going on inside of them, but they totally ignore it. What do you mean by the body talks to you? What really happens at that point in time?
So I'll give you an example of a client that I worked with who came to see me a few years ago. She was a very highly successful solicitor, went to work in a job that she didn't particularly like, but she was aiming towards a promotion to get out of the job that she was currently in. And sadly, what happened to her was one day she was on her way to work on the underground and she collapsed out of nowhere. That's her words. Out of nowhere, she collapsed. So by the time she got to hospital, she had very high blood pressure. There was other things going on with her body. So I said to her, so what do you think brought you to this point? So she said, oh, I know, I used to exercise, I used to go to the gym, I used to eat healthy, and I hadn't been doing all those things. So I said to her, no. I said, what exactly has brought you to this point? What signs was your body telling you that it was exhausted, it was burnt out, it had enough? And she really had to stop and think, because I said to her, you didn't just come to this point, you didn't just happen to collapse. I said there were things that were leading up towards that collapse stage. So we took the layers off, we unpeeled, we went back and we looked at, okay, she was working long hours. She was working through to 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, woke up 6 a.m. in the morning, going into work, working all hours, then coming home, taking care of her family. So she wasn't giving herself that time to downregulate and to rest. So the signs and symptoms that we uncovered was she was gaining lots of weight. Yes, people say, oh, I'm just gaining weight, but weight can be a sign of stress and it can be a sign of exhaustion and burnout. She was also not eating properly. She had cravings, certain cravings for certain foods. So cravings for high sugar foods, craving for carbohydrates, which we think, oh, is normal. It's not healthy. It's common, but it's not healthy and it's not normal. She had cravings for high salty foods. She wasn't drinking enough. She wasn't, drinking enough water. So she had cravings for fizzy drinks, she had cravings for alcohol. And there were so many other symptoms that were going off in her body that when we looked at it, I said to her, these are the symptoms. These were the signs that your body was saying to you, hold on a minute, we need to do something about this, because otherwise, if you carry on this way, you're going to head towards burnout, which in her case,
so how did she
it
feel
was.
though? Because if all this was going on in her body, how did she feel at the time?
At the time, she was totally exhausted,
Right.
but she was pushing through. Because the thing is, in our society, exhaustion, tiredness, and stress are seen as weaknesses.
Woo.
I've worked with many, many teachers, and the same message comes through. Oh, Lillian, I can't tell the head of year that I'm exhausted. I can't tell the head of year that I'm
Wow.
stressed. Otherwise, they think that I'm incompetent to do the job. And then come the following year, I'll be out of a job.
So you're telling
And
me that they can't go to work and tell their bosses that they're stressed out?
no, it's a very common thing. I hear this all the time, no matter what industry. And it mainly comes from female. Well, mainly comes from females, but it's also coming from males as well. They will say to me, because I will say that, I will say, have you not spoken to your boss? And in some cases, they are their boss if they are a business owner. If they're working in a job, they'll say to me, no, Lynn, I can't. I can't afford to take time off. I can't afford to do this because I'm working towards a promotion, or I've got deadlines to meet. If I say this to my boss or I say this to my team, then I'm out of a job.
Wow.
That's the reality today.
Are we so? Is our workplace so conditioned that we don't take into account the human element of the people we employ?
Yeah. Yeah. And even though we are seeing more and more cases of employers saying, oh, we're well-being friendly, oh, we take, the consideration of our employees' well-being, again, I'm being told, well, this is just a tick box exercise. It's
Wow.
just there to make the employers, the industry, or the organizations look good. Because in some cases, when people are off sick, they're still getting their employees ringing them up and saying, when are you coming back? When people say, well, look, I can't come in, but I can work from home. Even over this past year with the COVID situation, where people have been working from home, they've still been getting employees ringing them up before their allocated working hours. Employees are ringing them up or sending them emails expecting them to be at their computer, to be working, to be handling a certain query,
It's almost
even
as if
after hours.
the working hours have automatically extended when you work from home then during this period. Automatically
100%.
extended, and you must be on call all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Total access. You've got to be accessible by your phone, by your if you're not, then there's something wrong with you, Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
I
again,
like that term you used earlier. That term you said, well-being friendly. Is that something that corporations actually use? We're
I've
being
heard it
well-being friendly?
and I've seen it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So we're just in this tick box exercise. The box, yes, we've done it. Tick that box, yes, we've done it. Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
no actually examination of what's actually taking place on the ground.
No, at all. They can put in certain things to make it look like we're taking care of your well-being, but the actual evidence comes when your staff become off sick. There was a conversation I was getting involved with on LinkedIn about an organization where I think it was about 50% of the workforce went off sick, and what the head of
50%?
that, yeah, what the head of this organization did, it was largely due to people having to, to isolate because of COVID symptoms, etc.
Yeah.
But what the head of this organization was doing was that, okay, well, this, it was a case of, well, what do? I have to try and get them to see if they can work from home. So we were all saying, well, I was saying, well, no, first of all, you've got to look at the root cause of why your staff are going off sick. Why are they so exhausted in the first instance? And this is what organizations are not doing. They're not facing the reality and the truth that maybe their systems, their work processes are exhausting their employees. And that it's like a catch-22 situation for them. Well, if I stop working in this way, that means I'm going to lose profit, I'm going to lose money. So they think. instead of really addressing the root cause and saying, okay, our systems are not working, the way that we're working, the way that we're delivering is not suitable to our human employees, okay, because people are bringing in robots, all right, to replace humans. So how can I address the root cause of why this is exhausting? Oh, I know what, let's change A, B, and C and see if this works better with our employees. There is
You know what that
so
reminds
much.
me of? That
Go
reminds me
ahead.
of in Jamaica when them talk about beating the donkey. Yeah? You beat the donkey to go faster, the donkey can't walk any faster. So the
Exactly.
donkey turned around and said to you, what you want me to do? Huh? What you want me to do? This is a situation where they're beating the donkey to go to get more out of it.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
just can't give any more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me take you back here, because when we had our chat, you know, and you really outlined your own personal experience that brought you to this point. You know, the happenings in your life. What actually happened to you that made you stop? You stopped. You had to stop. What happened?
Yeah. Twice I stopped. On the first occasion, leading up to the first occasion, I had worked for employees doing work that, you know, wasn't fulfilling for me. And then I found my fulfillment in the area of
What
health
do
and
you mean not
well-being.
fulfilling? You got paid. What more you want?
Alex, don't even let me go there. It was more than that. It was more than that. I just knew I was not in alignment with my calling, with the work that I was called to do, with my purpose. So I found my purpose in health and wellness. I qualified as an exercise teacher, a personal trainer, and a sports remedial massage therapist. So this was in my 20s. So off I went to explore the world of health and well-being. I worked in various health clubs, teaching classes, high impact classes. My classes were packed out. I was in high demand
When
as
you say high
well.
impact classes, what do you mean? Is that something that I could attend? High impact?
No, maybe it may not be suitable for you, Alex. But we're talking like cycle, spin
Okay.
cycle classes, aqua aerobics, high impact aerobics, all sorts of things. But my
And those were
classes were
quite popular.
tough.
I thought those were things that were popular now. Those were popular quite so many years ago.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's been around for ages.
Wow. Don't let me
But
stop you now. Go on.
my classes were result-based classes. So when you came to my classes, you came to sweat, you came to work out hard. You weren't going to stand at the back and try and, you know, do the minimal and get away with that. No, you have to come and get results.
You're
So
implying that I'm someone who stays at the back and do the minimal work. And I wouldn't sweat and get worked out. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm not implying that, Alex. So you're making me forget what I'm going to say. So I was in the health wellness industry, teaching my clients, doing my massage as well. I was running 3 busy massage clients in and around London. And so as well as I was working people in exercise, I was also helping them to heal from their injuries, and helping them with their stress, because a lot of people would come to me about stress, tension in their neck and shoulders, pain in their back, all sorts of things. So again, I was in high demand and I tended to be the only one who could specialize in that area. So as much as I enjoyed what I was doing, I found myself working 12+ hour days. It felt like I was on a hamster wheel. I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes teaching classes 6 a.m., sometimes seeing clients 7 a.m., and then even teaching classes through to the evening. And, you know, after a while, it was like, okay, I'm enjoying this,
6
but
days a week.
where, you know what? Sometimes it was 5 days a week, sometimes it was 6 days a week, but you say 7 days a week because even if I wasn't physically working, I was mentally working.
Wow.
So I wasn't really switching off. I wasn't getting enough sleep. I wasn't eating well, even though I thought, oh, well, you know, I'm in the health industry. I know what I'm eating. But looking back now, I wasn't eating well at all. So after a while, like me and my colleagues, we would always speak, you know, like, how many classes are you doing this week? And how many clients are you teaching? And, you know, what else are you doing? And we were like, yeah, well, where is this heading us to? You know, because we came out of employment to be our own bosses. But it's like we're still working hard, but we're not seeing the fruit of our labor, so to speak. So it was like, where is this heading to? Where exactly are we leading to? Because we just feel like we're
But
going round and
not.
round in circle. Yeah. And it was like, when am I going to have a holiday? When am I going to take time off? Oh, if I take time off, I don't earn. Oh, if I take time off, who's going to cover my classes? If I take time off, who's going to cover my massage clinic? So it
Wow.
was all these things going on in the background, especially, I mean, maybe those of you, your audience who work for themselves, they're self-employed, can totally relate to this, you know, but
Let me
also
stop you there because
employees.
let me stop you there because I had a guy on the show, and
Uh-huh.
I'm sure I think you know him, called Michael Earl. And when I first heard Michael Earl talking about always take your lunch break, I thought he was crazy. I thought,
Yes,
what kind
Michael
of
Earl's
business
my
can you
brother.
build and telling people always take your lunch break? And it was after I had him on the show and I realized and he delved into it about the importance of taking that break during the day and how it helps you mentally.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
I wasn't someone who took it myself.
Yeah. And many employees, many business owners, self-employed, we, you know, skip the lunch break, or they eat their lunch break and they're still working at their computers, or they're still working on their
Is that thing
phones.
about getting more done? You think you're getting more done, but are you really?
Exactly. But you're not. You're not at all. You're not at all, because it makes you less effective, makes you less productive. When you rest and you have that ample rest, you're re-energizing, you're rejuvenating yourself in order to get back and work with more clarity and a clearer mind. But
Right.
people think that, no, by stopping, all the balls are going to drop. You know, all the plates that I'm trying to spin are going to drop and
So,
crash.
okay, so all your
But
plates dropped. All your plates dropped and you stopped in your track. What happened then?
all my plates came crashing down in the form of me waking up one day and not being able to get out of bed. I felt like I'd been pinned down. When I woke up, it was like my body just reeked of pain. I had severe brain fog. It felt like I was like, have I got flu? Have I not got flu? Why have I got such pain in my body? It's something I'd never, ever experienced at all. So I was investigating certain things. I went to see my doctors. I was coming out in rashes. All sorts of things were happening with my body. I was picking up on infections and stuff that I'd never had. And whenever I went to my doctors would say, oh, maybe you're stressed, or let me give you antibiotics. And I'd be like, what is going on with me? And I was under severe depression as well, because I'd also suffered 20 years of clinical depression. So on top of that, that was exacerbated. And then on the day when I couldn't get out, it was like, what is going on with me? So I only found out that I was burnt out because, firstly, in our industry, the word burnout was whispered in the industry. It was like, right, be careful you don't work too hard, or you don't take on so many classes in case you burn out. But a majority of us thought, oh, no, it's never going to happen to us. I totally thought it's never, ever going to happen to me. I'm invincible. I know what I'm doing. I'm healthy. I'm strong. I'm fit. I eat the right foods. I know how to exercise. But not knowing, I was overtraining. I was over exercising. I wasn't eating appropriately. I wasn't eating nutritionally. And most of all, I wasn't resting properly. I wasn't getting enough sleep. I wasn't working in a way that aligned to my human body. So, of course, at the end of the day, after giving emotionally towards my clients, giving out of every fiber of my being to my clients, of course, I wasn't giving back to myself. I wasn't nurturing myself. I wasn't nourishing myself. So at the end of the day, my body and my mind just said, no, enough, stop.
Wow.
So through me getting in contact with a coach, I just happened to come across him. He was teaching a course on weight loss. And I thought, well, let me do this course for my clients, because my clients need to know about weight loss. And one of the modules that he was teaching on was around stress. So I was like, oh yeah, the connection between weight gain and stress, I understand that. But as he was going through the signs and the symptoms of stress, all of a sudden it dawned on me, I was like, this sounds very familiar. So as he was going through each symptom, I was like, I've got that. I've got that one. That one. No. And then he was going through. And then at the bottom were these large words in black writing, burnout. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, no. I went
Wow.
through the symptoms again. And then I looked, burnout. I went through the symptoms again. And I was like, It can't be,
Wow.
because burnout was, it was like it was far in the distance. I was divorced from that. It was like that would never happen to me at all. And this
Okay.
has been the case for a lot of my clients as well. But when it hit me and I realized, oh my goodness, I've burnt out, the shame, the guilt that came on me, because I was the epitome of health, according to my clients. So, how can I now show up to my clients and say, I'm burnt out, I can no longer work with you?
So let's just
So, that was
remind
the
the public here,
situation.
because some we need to stress this a bit more. Let's just remind the public of what are the signs, what are the actual signs of the burnout, because we need the public to understand this, that they're not machines. They are not machines. They're human bodies, and there are some key clear signs of burnout. What are they?
So, first and foremost, stress is the precursor to burnout. So, people need to be aware of the signs of stress. There are three stages of stress. Now, the first stage is what we call the alarm stage, which is there's a man called Dr. Selye. Sadly, he's passed now, but he actually came across these stages through doing experiments around hormones. So he came across these three stages of stress. So the first stage is the alarm stage. And this is where everybody needs this. We need an element of stress in order for us to get out and do our work. It's the first stage that helps us to understand when we come across something that's fearful or threatful in front of us. Say, for example, you're going down the road, you see a vicious dog coming. What do? Do you fight it, or do you
Run.
flee? Or do you freeze? Exactly. So we need that element of stress to help us to run from that danger. Okay. That's healthy stress. That's what we call healthy stress. That's cool. Now, the second stage of stress is what we call the resistance stage. Now, this is where a lot of people are in, and this is what is known as the coping mechanism, the coping stage. Now, this is where we start to see evidence and signs of stress leading towards burnout. So, some of these signs can be, and I've got my paper here because I said I'm going to read the signs because I don't want to miss out on any of them. Okay. So, this is where we see symptoms such as weight gain. So, weight gain, particularly around the middle. Now, most women come to me and they say, oh, Lilian, all of a sudden I've put on weight. And I say, exactly where? And they say, oh, it tends to go on my tummy. Now, this is men and women, but weight gain is a sign of stress, depression, mood swings, tense muscles. You get a lot of tension in your neck and your shoulders, and you think, oh, it's normal. Oh, it's because I'm working on the computer. No, this is a sign of stress. Tension, headaches, especially when you get a lot of headaches and migraines. High blood pressure is a sign of stress. Lack of energy, low energy, especially when you find it dips during your daytime. Tiredness, low libido, erratic insulin levels. So you find that your blood sugar levels go up and down dramatically. The onset of diabetes, again, quite common for clients to come to me and say, Lilian, I've been diagnosed as pre-diabetic. That is a sign of stage 2 stress. Forgetfulness. People say, oh, well, I've forgotten. Oh, it's old age. No, that's a sign of stress. Brain fog, decreased immune system. This is where you find that you get frequent colds, frequent flus, frequent infections, bone loss, and a whole lot more. So that's the signs of stress in stage 2. Now, stage 3 is what we call the exhaustion stage. Now, this is the actual stage of burnout, which is what I experienced twice. And this is where the body can no longer cope, and the ability to function has dramatically dropped. Now, this is where we find cases of what we call adrenal fatigue, also known as Addison's disease, which some people get diagnosed with, where they are totally, totally exhausted. I've seen it in one or two of my clients who have worked with me, and it's not a good sight at all. Thankfully, I didn't reach that stage. This is where people can start to experience episodes of meltdowns, mental breakdowns. They can start to experience memory loss. They actually have gaps in their memory where they can't remember. And this is not about, oh, I go into a room and I forget why I'm there. That's partly it, but this is evidential gaps where people forget that they've done things or even said things. Memory loss, cloudy thinking and brain fog, problems in concentrating. People concentrate, they could be reading certain things and then they forget what they've read. This leads to dementia and Alzheimer's. People find it difficult making easy, simple decisions, such as what am I going to eat? They find that they suffer with reoccurring infections along with allergies. I hear people say to me, well, Lillian, I don't normally suffer from asthma. I don't normally suffer from hay fever. But this year, I'm finding that that's the case. This is a case of burnout. Now, other symptoms and signs are, because stress is also the precursor to a majority of diseases that we're seeing in modern day life. Diseases such as arthritis, problems with the thyroid, whether it's hypothyroidism, hypothyroidism, psoriasis, loss of muscle mass, gaining excess body fat, digestive problems, heartburn, heart attacks, stroke, bloating, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, back pain, sciatica, there's a whole load, Crohn's disease, psychiatric disorders, cancers, irritable bowel syndrome. There is so much. These are the signs that lead up to say that you are burnt out.
These things, they're not new.
They're not new.
We've
They're not
known
new,
about
but
them
they're
for years.
very, very common.
Seen them. So why is it that we don't change our lifestyles to avoid stress and burnout? What's causing us to just to sit there and absorb it?
Oh, so many things, Alex, so many things. Number one, many of us have built a lifestyle that we want to maintain. And in order to maintain that lifestyle, we're sacrificing our health in the process. So we can see, or we know, we can see the signs sometimes.
About the Joneses, copying what the Joneses do.
Exactly. Keeping up with the Joneses. And the more we are plugged into things like social media, the more that we're seeing, wow, look at that celebrity living the lifestyle. Look at that person living the lifestyle. Look at my neighbor living the lifestyle. I want that. But what is it going to cost you in terms of your human biological ability and resources? And this is what people are being tempted by. So that's one factor. Another factor is why are they not changing their lifestyles is what I call busyness drivers. I've done a video on this on my YouTube about things that drive us. I can only speak from my experience on this and from the experience of my clients. For me, what was driving me and stopping me from changing my lifestyle was not feeling good enough. I felt very insignificant because I'd suffered with years of racial abuse when I was growing up. So as I was growing up, I didn't know who I was. I was always told, well, you can't do this because you're black. You can't be this because you're black. You can't say that because you're black. You can't live here because you're black. You can't work here because you're black. So I grew up with not being accepted, not being approved of, seeking approval, seeking for that significance. And that in the back of my mind, that was my story. If I don't work, if I don't live up to this, then I'm not good enough. If I don't strive for this, then I'm not good enough. So I was also always seeking that praise, that approval, and that significance. So I couldn't afford to stop.
Just to get the minimum.
Exactly. So those are the common ones that I see that is stopping us from stopping and changing our lifestyle. And again, it's that pressure. It's that pressure from society. Push towards that goal, push towards that deadline, push towards that promotion, push towards that accolade, and you will be somebody. Because you know what? You're not enough until you have A, B, and C, until you have the car, until you have the partner, until you have the 2.4 children, until you look really great on social media, until you're shining bright like a celebrity. You will never be good enough. And this is what's driving and pushing people, whether they realize it or not.
So, but when do we come off that track? Do we come off that track when we fall over? We just drop down and come off of the track? When do we actually get the consciousness to come off that track? Because it's lethal. And you said the body's talking to us all the time. The body and the brain is talking to us.
Totally, all the time.
So we're not sick by accident.
We're not sick by accident at all. No way. You know, and majority of people, like I mentioned earlier, are living in their head. They're conscious. They've got these stories repeating themselves. I'm not good enough. I've got to keep pushing. I've got a mortgage to pay. I've got bills to pay. I want to look good. I've got to keep up with the Joneses. I've A, B, and C. My family are depending on me. There's so many pressures and demands that are coming in on people that it's caving in on them. Instead of them to say, hold on a minute, stop. I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I signed up for. And it takes bravery. It really takes bravery.
You fancy going into work and tell them, say, hey, I didn't sign up for this. I'm going to stop here.
This is the case. And for a majority of people, they can't do that because they've got the mortgage, because they've got the family depending on them. But there is a way to do it. And for many people, they know this is the truth. They know this is their truth. But they've got this pressure speaking to them. And either people will stop because they've heard like a message like this, or they've spoken to me, or they've heard me speak somewhere, and they're like, oh my goodness, Lilian, what you're saying is truth, because I know that's speaking to me, but how do I do it? Exactly. Or, like you said, they will drop down. Either they will drop down and get a second chance, like I did in 2018, when my body imploded and I ended up in hospital, or they'll drop down and they will die.
Ooh, let's pull back from the death side, yeah? Let's pull back from dropping down and dying, right? How can we let go of burnout and stress? How can we actually let go of stress and burnout? Just let it go.
So the first thing is, firstly, to admit that you're stressed. Admit it. Don't deny and say, well, it's just a bit of pressure, or I'm just a little bit tired. If it's been going on consistently, and when I say consistently for more than 6 months, you are stressed, you are burnt out. So it's time to stop and address that. That's number one, okay? How can we let go of stress? Again, it largely starts from the admission. Look at the lifestyle that you are living. Are you aligned to that lifestyle? Is it a lifestyle that you really want to be living? I'll give you an example of a client that I worked with who's got 5 children, and she was an artist. I think she still is an artist. And it was a case of, you know, attending to the family, attending to other people's emergencies, but she wasn't doing anything for herself. She wasn't being fulfilled. So she said, Lilian, you know, I'm just not fulfilled. I don't know who I am and what I'm meant to be doing. So when we sat down and I said to her, okay, what is it that you really want? I said, forget that you've got children. Forget that you're married. I'm speaking to you as an individual. What is it that you really, really want? And many people are not facing their own truth. Many people are not aligning to their desires.
Forget the house. Forget everything around you. What do you want?
Yeah.
That's
because
important.
People are growing up. They're being all things to all people. They're being all things to all people, and they're forgetting themselves. And the burnout and the stress start to set into the body. But she realized she came to the end of herself, and she said, Lilian, I've got no more energy to give. I just have not got enough. And that's another sign. When you've got nothing more to give out of you, nothing, no emotion, no mental, cognitive, it's just gone. She was at that end. She was at the end of herself. So I said, what is it that you want? And then that was when she bravely, she said, Lilian, I want to do this. I want to be this, but I stopped because of this. And I said, so what's stopping you now? She said, because society has told me as a mum, as a parent, as a wife, I have to be A, B, and C. I said, who said? Where's the evidence in that? Where's the truth in that? And when we actually peeled back those layers and got to her truth, her own truth, was she able to then stand in her own power, address her family and say, guys, this is how I'm feeling. She never addressed to her family how she was feeling. She just zipped her lip and got on with life.
Before you jump into what this lady did to address her own situation, let's just go to our sponsor, or else they'll be addressing my situation. You are listening to the Message Talk Show and Podcast. Do you believe you have something to share? Do you believe you have something to contribute? Do you have a story
to tell the world, to share with your community. Gandhi said, man often becomes what he believes himself to be. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So join us on the Message Talk Show and podcast with host Alex Gordon.
So she plucked up the courage to talk to her family.
Yeah. So she sat down with them, got a meeting together, all of them, and she said to them, I've got nothing to give. She says, I'm not showing up as your mum. She said to her partner, I'm not showing up as your wife. And she shared her feelings with them, and they were like, oh my goodness, where did this come from? We never knew you were feeling this way. And she said, because I was bottling it up. I was just sipping it up and I was just getting on with life. And so when she aired her feelings and how she was feeling, that gave them permission to then air how they were also feeling. They were like, yeah, it's too much. How we're living is too much. So from then on, they said,
everybody was stressed.
Everybody, or even the kids, were like, yeah, I don't want to go to that club. I don't want to go to this. You know, the parents were taking them to places that they weren't even interested in. Why? Because other parents, they saw other parents taking their children to activities. So they thought, well, my child must go as well. But the child was like, I don't even want to go. I want to spend time with mum and dad. I want to spend time here. So they were all able to say, right, this is what we want to do. They started to book more holidays. They started to do things together as a family. They started to spend alone time, value each other's alone time. And, you know, Alex, when she was reporting, even she herself was able to lose weight effortlessly. She'd gone to the gym for years. She'd done every class she'd done every diet under the sun. And she said, Lilian, I don't know what it is. I'm doing all of this, but I still can't lose weight. I'm doing all that. And it's because she was stressed. So when I gave her space to give herself permission to stand in her own power and face her own truth, that then gave her the ability to give her family the permission to stand in their own power and admit their own truth. And now they are such, and I say this, a healthy family, because they're acknowledging each other. They're actually acknowledging, they're not thinking, oh, I must do this or I must live this way because of this is what society says. They have created their own paradigm. They've created their own niche. This is how we as a family are going to live and stay healthy.
And that brings us healthily to the last question. How do you know when you're overcoming stress and burnout? How do you know
when you're overcoming it? Wow. Well, let me share. Yeah. And also, I mean, I remember when I had my second stress-related health crisis, and I ended up in hospital with severe hypertension, hypothyroidism. I had no iron in me, no ferritin. They had to pump me with ferritin. And the endocrinologist came around and said to me, you know, ma'am, what is it that you do? And I told him what I did, and I was really embarrassed. And he said, you know what? The number one thing you need to do is rest. And I thought, rest? What's that? I just couldn't compute because it wasn't in my radar. So when I spent lots of time resting, because my body would just alert me when I wasn't resting. So in answer to your question, how do you know you're overcoming stress, was when I spent a lot more time resting and doing less of the things that were not aligned to me. Because, Alex, we can get involved in stuff that really we have no business getting involved with. We go around firefighting, dealing with other people's emergencies that we have no business getting involved in. So a lot of those things I dropped. And I said, I'm going to take time out for myself. And I'm really, really going to anchor into this resting.
Come from a community whereby if you relax too much, they call you lazy. They say you're lazy.
Exactly. So I had to drop all of that. I had to just put that to the side, and I said, you know what? This is what my body needs. So every time I went to do something or do a piece of work or go and help someone, instantly I would get certain symptoms rise up in my body. So my blood pressure would go back up. My heart would start to pulp because I had severe heart palpitations. I'd get severe headaches again, and then I'd be like, oh, no, stop. I need to rest. So the more I spent in resting, the less I was getting of those symptoms, the more my body was starting to heal itself, the more my body was able to recuperate from the stress and the burnout. When I started to incorporate meditation, when I started to incorporate breathing exercises, when I started to nourish myself with with proper nutrition, and all of these other things that I was doing. And I noticed that, oh, hold on a minute, I'm able to sleep better now. I wasn't waking up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with my mind racing and this severe migraine in my head. I wasn't, getting breathless when I was walking. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't feeling anxious. So as those symptoms started to reduce, I realized that, oh, I'm coming out of stage 3 and I was in stage 2. Oh, the more I started doing more of the good stuff, I was actually now coming out of stage 2 and resting in stage 1. So now I realize when I'm in stress and when I'm out of stress. Whereas before, it was like I was in a car, the car wasn't going anywhere, but my foot was on that accelerator. The engine was just revving, and it wasn't going anywhere. I felt exhausted. Now I don't feel exhausted. I feel energized now. And another sign was me being in my meditations. When I was first going into the arena of meditating, Alex, I'd be like this. I was just falling asleep.
When you go into the arena of you're meditating, but instead of meditating, the minute you stop, you're falling asleep.
I was like that. I was just falling asleep all the time. And I was like, oh my, and the lady that I learned meditation from was like, no, that means you are exhausted. Wow. So for those of you who are out there and you are meditating and you're falling asleep and your head is nodding all the time, you are exhausted.
You're falling asleep and think you're meditating, but you're not.
Yeah, no, meditation is meant to energize us. So now I can go through my meditation. My meditation is 15, 20 minutes, but I come out of it feeling rejuvenated. I don't come out of it feeling, oh my goodness, I feel like I need to sleep. On occasions I do.
Those 15, 20 minutes that you're meditating, what are you actually doing?
I am simply focusing on my breath, just breathing. Right. There are different, what we call breath work. There are different types of breath work exercises that one can do in order to reoxygenate. Because when you're in a stress state, what happens is you tend to shallow breathe. And that's all part of the fight and flight stress response. Because like I mentioned before, if you're facing danger or a perceived threat, your body needs you to either fight the danger or flee from it. So it needs you to breathe quickly. So breathing quickly is part of, or breathing shallow is part of the stress response. Now, our normal healthy state.
Whenever I saw a dog, I'd always want to run. When I was
exactly.
A kid, whenever I saw a dog.
All of us. All of us.
Let's run.
Even, and in some cases, you stop breathing. A majority of my clients say to me, Lilian, I don't breathe properly. I hold my breath. When I'm working, when I'm in intense work, I hold my breath. I say, yeah, that's very common. I used to do that. For some people, they hold their breath while they're sleeping. That's sleep apnea, which can lead towards hypertension, strokes, heart attack. Yes.
They naturally hold their breath while they're sleeping.
Yeah. Again, I had a client whose husband had that condition. Yeah. I had a client whose husband had that condition, and in the end, he had to have a machine where it was an oxygen machine that would, it was like an alarm that would trigger him to breathe. Whenever he stopped, an alarm that triggered him to breathe. But he was highly stressed as well. Wow. But anyway, that's another story in itself. So yes, so those are some of the signs and symptoms that you can look at and know that, oh, okay, I'm coming out of stress and burnout.
Wow. This is massive. And I imagine that during the past 18 months, people have gone through this cycle without even realizing it. And somehow just thinking, okay, I'm feeling this because of what's going on, but they're in that hypertension mode. They're in all these different frequencies that they can't quite explain themselves. And the doctor probably hasn't had time. But in some of the occasions that we do find is that the minute you go to doctor and mention some of these things, they put you on medication. Is that good?
It's not, because for a majority of doctors, they are trained in what we call orthodox medication or orthodox medicine. So it's a case of, this is a symptom and this is how we're going to deal with the symptom. The symptom is the surface of what's going on with the medication. Okay. Now, there is a place for medication. I'm not saying that there isn't. So I don't want anyone to write into the show and say, she said this, that, and the other. No, my sister works in pharmacy. So, you know what I mean? I've got her on the side of caution there.
A disclaimer. This is a disclaimer, guys.
Exactly. But we've got to get to the root cause of why is this person displaying certain symptoms, which is like when that endocrinologist came to my bedside in the hospital, and he wanted to know, well, how did you get here, ma'am? You know, you don't just get here overnight just like that. And he was looking for the root cause, because not only was he trained in that medical field using orthodox treatments, but he was also training himself from a holistic perspective as well, which is great. So there are a lot of doctors who are now turning towards the complementary therapy, holistic therapies, because they're realizing that, hold on a minute, it's not just the medication. We need to go deeper. We need to get to the root cause as to why people are displaying these symptoms. Why are they sick? Why are they coming into hospital? Why are they coming into my surgery with these symptoms? And to be honest with you, Alex, when I was visiting the A&E on several occasions, I was so fortunate to come across, it was mainly the one doctor that I came in contact with. And he too, he was a Chinese guy. And he too, not only was he learning, continuing to learn around the orthodox medicine area, but he was also looking at the holistic and complementary therapies. And you know what he said to me? He said, Miss Lartey, he said, I can only tell you this under my license as an A&E doctor. So he would tell me what he needed to tell me, which was the medications, how to take care of my blood pressure, things like that. But he said, also, he said, as I was on my way out, he would go like this. He would say, and Miss Lartey, he said, I know you understand this because of the field that you work in. He says, and you know to rest, don't you? I said, yes. He said, and you know to eat this, that, and the other, don't you? I said, yes. He says, and you know to exercise. And I said, yes. He said, because you know I can't tell you this under this title. I said, I know.
That is amazing. That is amazing. There's so many things that we could do to prevent, to stop, to slow down this burnout, to slow down the stress. And in closing and in summarizing, what would you say are the 3 key things that we should do to prevent us getting to the extreme stages of stress and burnout?
So the first key I would say is look at your lifestyle, look at how you're living. Are you living in the way that you really want to be living? Are you facing day in, day out pressures
Let me
that are
stop you there.
leaving you
Let me
feeling?
just repeat that. Look at your lifestyle. Yes. Look at your lifestyle. Sometimes we are so caught up on the treadmill that we forget that we're only humans. We're not machines.
Yeah.
And we keep
We're
pushing
caught up in the busyness.
harder and harder and harder. And all that happens at the other end are the illnesses that you see. The doctor's surgery is full of people with hypertension, with diabetes, with all these things, all these ailments.
Heart problems.
Yeah. And some of the things are the things that they were saying during the pandemic. They were, when they talk about people with underlying issues, these are all the things that we're talking about as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And not realizing we have them
underlying
because of the stress we're going through.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, cancer can be going on in people's bodies and not even realize what's going on because they're so caught up in the busyness and they're ignorant of the signs that their body is displaying them. But anyway, so number one, so number one is look at the lifestyle that you're living. Is it really aligned to the lifestyle that you really want to be living? Because if it's leaving you feeling depressed, anxious, unhappy, those really the 3, angry, fearful, and worried, then that's not living. That's not living a life at all.
Wow. Angry, fearful, and worried. That's not living at all. Oh,
it's not. So number 1, look at your lifestyle. Number 2, if you know that you're not aligned to living a calm, what I call a calm, balanced, spacious life, where you feel happy, where you feel joyful, where you feel at peace within yourself, then admit it. Admit it. No one's going to come with a big cane and hit you and say, no, you've got to keep going, unless you really want to, or you're holding the cane and you're whipping yourself. Yeah, admit that I can't live up to this life. Yes, I can't live up to these standards. I can no longer live up to these expectations. Admit it to yourself and give yourself permission to stop.
Give yourself permission. I like that one. Give yourself permission to stop. It's all up to the permission that you allow yourself and you give yourself. No one else has to give you permission to stop, to slow down.
Yes, exactly. And then number 3 is the symptoms that I've mentioned on this podcast. Go through those symptoms and see if you relate to any of those symptoms. And if you do, start getting support. Now, didn't get to this point by myself at all. I've had health coaches help me. I've had doctors help me. I've had those in the health professions help me. I didn't get as much as I know, I
Well,
still
that's what I
need
was going to say,
support. I
because the
still
bonus
need
is
help.
you're in the health industry, so you know a lot.
Exactly.
Imagine the person who has not in that industry and haven't got a clue. Wow.
Yeah. Because I'm closed in. I can't see the back of my head. But someone else, another health professional, can give me the relevant test, can do the relevant test on me, and they can see, oh, Lilian, this is what's showing up for you. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Da, 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 da. I don't know everything, but as much as I know, I still need professional help. So go through the symptoms, see which ones relate to you, and get healthy professional support.
Woo.
Get support from your
Lillian,
doctor,
look
get
at the
support
time.
from a
We're
health
on the hour,
professional.
Lillian. We're on the hour.
We need
The time
we
has
need
got away
another
from
hour,
us.
Alex.
And you've
We need
enjoyed
another
talking
hour.
so much. It's amazing talking to you today on preventing stress and burnout. So where can people contact you and get more of what you're talking about?
Well, people can go to my Linktree site, Linktree, and then / Lilian, LILLIAN _ Lartey, LARTEY. When you go onto my Linktree sites, you'll see several areas that you can connect with me via social media. And I also run a weekly pause and breathe session every Wednesday at 12 noon UK, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's on Zoom. It's for 15 minutes where myself and a group of people get together on Zoom and we breathe. We do a breathing meditation to reset. We call it our midweek reset. We reset, we rejuvenate so that we can be productive when we get out there. And I'm also running 2 special offers for July. My first offer is I'm running a Pause and Breathe Masterclass, which will run on Wednesday, the 28th of July. And it's worth £47 and it's currently available at £37, where we are going to go through releasing low emotions that are causing harmful effects on our body. So we're going to be looking at emotions such as stress, anger, anxiety, worry, and fear, and the harmful effects that those are having on our human body and our human state, and how we can reduce those effects, those symptoms, and those harmful effects, and show up feeling calm, balanced, and peaceful. And I'm also doing a special offer on a personal retreat, Pause and Breathe personal retreat. It's normally £597, but it's £197 up until the end of July. And it's a 4-hour immersion with myself. And we go through everything from your stress state, why you're stressed, why you're burnt out, and the steps that you can take to recover from that and start living life in calm, balance, spaciousness, and peace.
Wow. I feel peaceful just listening to all that pause and breathe already, you know? The pause and breathe masterclass, the pause and breathe retreat, just to slow me down. Don't talk as
Yes.
fast. So I think, guys, we all need something like this in this season as we as they press the unpause button coming out of the pandemic. You need to pause and breathe. You need to find out the things that's causing you to with all the issues and the problems, but you need to be able to sit down and meditate, sit down and just release what's inside of you. And Lilian has got that for you. Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's on
Yes.
there. Pause and breathe. Retreat. Don't miss this, guys. And a pause and breathe masterclass. All coming your way, courtesy of Lilian Lartey. Thank you so much, Lilian, for being on the show today.
Thank you,
It's
Alex. It's
amazing
been a
listening to your
pleasure.
story
Thank you.
and listening to how your story has informed the way you changed your lifestyle, you changed the way you work, and now you're helping other people to change their lifestyle and change their work and finding complete fulfillment from that.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
amazing.
100%.
But what you think about is that the pain it caused you to get there, you just didn't get there overnight. You didn't get there
No,
overnight.
it's
And
taken
you went
years,
through
Alex.
pain and grief to get to this point. So when people listen to you now,
Yeah,
they can avoid the pain.
exactly. Totally. Yeah,
They can avoid what
yeah,
you've been through and step into
yeah,
their future and their destiny in a calm and conscious way. Thank you for listening to the Message Talk
totally.
Show, guys. Thank you for tuning in and listening to Lilian Lartey. And she's told you her details. She told you how to contact her. And I'll be back again on the Message Talk Show, guys. So tune into the Message Talk Show. As I said, call your friends, call your enemies, call the people you don't like and tell them to come on the show. Because by the time they finish the show, they will like you. So, guys, here it is another week. And I thank you so much for tuning in with us. Don't miss the show. You got to be on the show. So don't miss us next time, guys. Tune into the Message Talk Show, and I will see you again. Thank you for listening.